What's going on, everyone? We're back, and today we are talking about another film from my double feature that I had on Friday, Backrooms. This is a movie that I've genuinely been looking forward to for quite a bit. I've seen a lot of it all over the place, and the anticipation was slowly climbing up. I feel like Obsession kind of came in and swept a little bit unexpectedly because of how well it's been. But everyone was really anticipating Backrooms for this month. Only because Backrooms has become one of the craziest horror internet phenomenons of our time. Kane Parsons took an internet concept, built a massively successful YouTube series around it, and somehow, some way, it has become a feature film. That alone is an incredible achievement. After watching the movie, I think there is a lot to admire here, but I also have some pretty significant frustration. But let's start with what worked. First act of the movie is phenomenal, seriously. From the moment the film starts, you get thrown into a world built off of found footage. The static, the camera quality, the buzzing lights, and the endless yellow hallways, the constant feeling that something is just outside of your vision. It's incredibly effective, and every time that a character turns a corner, you're bracing yourself, anticipating what is going to come. Every time the camera shifts, you are looking for sudden movements in a corner or straight ahead. It is one of the most anxiety-induced horror theater experiences I have ever had. And that's because Backrooms understands something very important. The Backrooms are scary because of uncertainty. The fear isn't necessarily of what's there. The fear is of the uncertainty of what might be there. And the movie absolutely nails that feeling. Then we get into the discovery of the story of the Backrooms. Clark's exploration, bringing in Bobby and Kat to also discover and explore the Backrooms. Bobby's disappearance from God knows what. Sarah goes missing. Clark trying to find her and then realizing there's nowhere left to run. Sarah being able to see on the other side. Clark's exploration, bringing Bobby and Kat into the Backrooms. Bobby gets taken by God knows what. Kat ends up going to look for him. She's disappeared. Clark goes to try to find her. And then next thing you know, Kat can see him, he can't see her. And then Clark gets taken by God knows what. And then we find out later he ends up becoming another psychopath. All these moments were genuinely engaging and very, very creepy. That whole first part of the film had me completely invested in what we were going into. But unfortunately, this is now where the criticism begins. Because now once we transition into Mary's storyline, I honestly found myself becoming less and less invested. And it's not that the film suddenly became bad. That's actually far from it. There were still creepy moments, still effective scares, still feeling of like a crawl down my back. Mary never grabbed me as the protagonist one bit. So much of the film relies on the development and the connection that you have with her that it became a noticeable issue for me. And she doesn't really captivate the screen like I wanted her to. And then we get to the ending, which I feel like a lot of people are very divided on. I don't mind ambiguity, and I don't need every mystery explained to me. In fact, some of the best horror films ever made leave you leaving with questions. But Backrooms crossed a line where I wasn't leaving with intrigue. I was leaving with frustration of not knowing what was going on. Why does Async have access to the Backrooms? How are they operating inside of it? How are they building facilities in there? Do people's families live in there? Why are they also not being submerged by the Backroom? Because everyone else that goes in there seems to be absorbed by it, but why haven't they? Who determines who gets copied and who doesn't? And who determines who stays? And most importantly, what is the Backrooms? I understand that the original concept thrives on the mystery, and I understand the appeal of not knowing everything. But I feel like when you're taking this concept and adapting it into a feature film, you need to give the audience more to work with. Not all the answers, just enough answers. And I don't think the film just quite gets there. I would have also loved to enjoy more found footage. For me, that's where the film was at its highest level. The second we move away from that style of film, the tension we start to lose a little bit. In fact, if I were making changes, I probably would have documented the entire phenomenon through found footage, because those found footage sequences were genuinely incredible. Now, despite the criticisms, I want to make something very clear. I respect the hell out of this movie. I respect what Kane Parsons did, and I respect the ambition. And I respect the fact that a creator who started making videos online was able to bring this to a feature film. That opens the door for an entire new generation of filmmakers, and that's exciting. And at the end of the day, Backrooms is a film that I admire more than I actually love. Its highs were incredibly high. Its atmosphere was fantastic. Its opening act was one of the best in a horror film I've ever seen. But the lack of answers and the shift away from found footage bring it down for me. I ended up giving Backrooms a 3.5 out of 5, which is about a 7.5 out of 10 on a full scale. It's a good movie and a worthwhile movie for sure. Just not quite the movie that I was hoping that it would be. Let me know what you thought of Backrooms down below. Did the mystery work out for you? Or did you leave with all the same questions that I did? That's my case in point.